This is a lesson about the Countif function in Excel. This is a list of all the girls in a school's sports team that must receive newly designed sports t-shirts. I've opened this spreadsheet and we are going to use the Countif function to determine the exact number of extra large, large, medium and small shirts that needs to be ordered. Let's start by calculating the extra large t-shirts. Well, let's first put a heading here in F2 and call them number of extra large shirts. The heading is not clear, so let's have a look at alignment. And then I see that the wrap text box is ticked. I'm going to untick it and say OK, and suddenly the whole heading is displayed. Let's put our answer, the result of our formula, in I2, in this cell over here. And here we are going to use the Countif function. The way I do that is to click on the FX button. It's the help button with which I insert a function. Click on it and I'm going to type in Countif and press enter, and there it appears in the list of possible functions that I can use. Double click on Countif. Well, before I double click, let's look at the description here. Countif, which has a bracket and then range and criteria, and this function counts the number of cells within a range that meet a given condition. So let's double click on Countif, and you can see up in the edit bar that the word Countif is already placed there, and we must now determine the range. So the range is explained in this line over here. Range is the range of cells from which you want to count non-blank cells. So I'm going to click on this little arrow here and then highlight all the sizes from the top, and I'm pressing Shift and Control and down arrow, and that highlights all the possibilities. And now I click on this button over here so that the range is displayed in the range block. In the criteria block, I must put that which I am looking for. Now, I want it to count all those items for which the size is equal to extra large. Let's click on OK. Ooh, and suddenly I see I see 1 rand. Now this must not be currency, so let's change that to a number. At the moment it's formatted so that it has 2 decimal places. We don't want decimal places because these will be whole numbers. So let's reduce them. Ooh, I do not click. I should click on this button over here to reduce the number of decimal places. Let's do that a third time, and there's our first answer. So the second question is to calculate or to find the number of extra large shirts. So let's put a heading here as well. Number of extra large shirts. Press enter to make it bold like the previous one. Let's click on bold and let's just see what was the previous font size. The previous heading had a font size of 12 and a font of Arial. Let's do the same here. Font of 12 and Arial as well. And in block I4 I'm going to put the formula. Click on the function help button. There Countif is already. Double click on it. My range consists of the first size, and now I press Shift and Control and hold them in, and now down arrow. It highlights all the possible sizes. I click on this little arrow over here, and you see my range is the same as it used to be in the previous question, D3 to D36, and my criteria now is we want to count all the sizes that have a size of extra large, XL. Press OK or enter. Our formula tells us that there are 3 extra large shirts in this group. Let's check. If we quickly go down here, we see there's 1, 2, and let's scroll up so that we see the rest. And there's another one. 3. So there are definitely 3 extra large shirts and 3 only. Now in the same way, go and calculate the number of large, medium and small shirts. The next part of this question is to determine the number of grade 10s, 11s and 12s in the sports team. I'm only going to do the number of grade 11s. It's very similar to the previous one, so let's type in a heading, number of grade 10s, and I'll make it once again Arial with a font size of 12 and bold. And in this position, column I8, I'm going to type my formula. Click on the FX button, double click on Countif. My range we know is probably D3 right down to Control Shift and Enter to D36. And if I press Enter, that range is placed in the range box. I am making a mistake. I am not interested in the sizes of the shirts. I'm interested in the grade of the students. So let's fix this. Click on this block again. I don't want D3 to D36, so I'm going to press delete, and I'm going to move our block away and highlight the grade column. From the first element, press Shift, Control and down arrow to the last element in that row, last element in that column, so it's C3 to C36. Press Enter. It puts it in the range block, and my criteria is now 10. I want to know how many girls are there in grade 10 that are in the sports teams. Click on OK, and we see that our number of girls in grade 10 is 10. You must now do this for grade 11 and 12 as well. Some of the girls have paid already. This was marked on a list. The shirts cost 65 Rand each. Create an extra column and type in the amount next to the names of the girls that have paid already. So let's create another column, and we call this paid. And now we fill in, and I'm going to use random values, amounts that these girls have paid. So let's say that Taryn Alexander paid 65 Rand, and Clifford Jenner paid 65, and Tara Hool paid 65, and a few others. Great, that's enough. Now, the question says, the teacher can go and fetch the shirts as soon as she pays 1,000 Rand of the total amount. We must do a quick calculation to show her if there is enough money paid in. In other words, we must calculate how much money has already been paid in by the girls so that she can see if she has 1,000 Rand already. I want to add up all the values in column E, in the paid column, and I want to put my answer, and I'm scrolling down, here in this block, total amount paid, and it is in block E50. I see the spreadsheet already makes provision for that. The formula I'm going to type in is equal sum, open bracket, and I use my up arrow and I press it until I get to the first value that should be added together. That is whether Lisa Timms has paid or not. She hasn't paid, but that doesn't matter. We must still add her in case she pays. Now I press Shift down and use the up arrow to highlight the whole range. I'm going to keep it running. There we go. I went too far. Come back 2 cells, and that's the range that I want to add. Now I need to put a closed bracket, so I press Shift and 0 to get the closed bracket and press Enter. And you can see that already we have 325 Rand that's been paid. Let's change this and give Lisa Timms also a payment and see if our total changes. Can you see that now we have 390 Rand? So the fact that Lisa Timms has paid is now reflected down here. The next part of this question is to determine the number of girls that haven't paid. So let's put that answer here in E51. It's a count if question. In other words, count if the girls have not paid. So let's go to the FX button, double click on count if. My range is going to be exactly the whole column of the whole paid column. So starting at E36 and go up to E3. There we go. Click Enter. And our criteria is if there's nothing in this column. So I'm going to put 2 inverted commas with nothing in between them. There's the first one and there's the second one. Click on OK, and you can see that 28 students have not paid yet.